hosted by you/creepy wife Thray. My 32F father, 64M, has been married to Sasha, 47F, for almost a decade. I was already an adult when they started seeing each other, so I never had much of a relationship with her. That said, Sasha was nice and thoughtful, though a bit annoying at times, and I never had any problems with her. I now have a husband, 34M, and 2 kids, 9M and 4F. Sasha is very fond of my children, especially my daughter. That became very suffocating pretty quickly, so we started setting some boundaries. She never overstepped them. In January, my father and Sasha decided to go on a trip to Disney World and invited us to join them. We decided to go to celebrate our son's 9th birthday. I quickly regretted coming along. Sasha spent the entire trip fussing over my daughter in ways that overstepped almost every boundary we'd set. Examples include, Sasha bought a Minnie Ears tiara and wanted me to buy my daughter an identical one so they could match. My daughter didn't like the tiara, so I bought her a Donald Duck hat instead. Sasha got her the tiara anyway and was upset that she didn't want to wear it. My father and Sasha went shopping between parks. I told them not to buy my kids anything, as we still had shopping to do and didn't want to risk making our bags too heavy. Still, Sasha returned with 5 bags of clothing for my daughter and 2 for my son, saying she couldn't resist it. My daughter wanted a Belle costume to wear at the parks, as that's her favorite princess. Sasha tried to convince us to get her an Ariel costume instead because that's her favorite. I explained that we never watched The Little Mermaid at home because my daughter is scared of Ursula. Sasha insisted on taking dozens of pictures with my daughter in front of the castle at Magic Kingdom. She also took some with my son, but not nearly as many. She tried to convince us to take our daughter to Bibbidi Bobbidi Boutique. We refused because the prices are outrageous, and we'd already bought her the Belle costume. She offered to pay, but we held our ground. I later found out Sasha tried to make a reservation anyway, but there was no availability. When we took our daughter to Slinky Dog Dash, her first roller coaster, Sasha tried to sit next to her. My daughter wanted to sit with me, so we switched. She tried to do the same thing on other attractions. At the Muppets Theater, she tried to get my daughter to sit in her lap. Sasha also tried to pick her up while we were meeting some of the characters. There were more instances. The final straw for me, however, was on the last park day of the trip. We were at Magic Kingdom. My husband suffered a minor injury, and I had to take him to the first aid station. The kids wanted to go on the Peter Pan ride, so my dad and Sasha offered to take them in the meantime. However, according to my father, the line was too long. So instead, Sasha suggested the Little Mermaid ride, assuring my kids Ursula wasn't on it. In reality, there's a pretty big Ursula animatronic there. My daughter was still sobbing and hugging her brother when we reunited. When we flew back home, I told my father that we would no longer take our children on trips with Sasha due to her behavior. He got extremely angry. He said his wife loved my kids, thought about what they'd like to do at every moment of the trip, and that we should be grateful to have her in our lives. I lost my temper at that. I told him Sasha was a freaking creep and that they should be grateful I was still okay with them even seeing my children after her actions during the trip. We ended up having a huge fight after that. It's been weeks since we returned home, and my father is still angry at me and my husband. Sasha has texted me a few times, saying she's sorry if she made me uncomfortable, but that she loves my kids and hoped to use the trip to spend more time with them. To be honest, I don't think I'm wrong here, but I do think I might have overreacted. I believe there's a chance Sasha's actions were motivated by love and that she truly did have good intentions. Commenter. Does she have children of her own? She probably sees your kids as a chance to play mommy if she's never had kids. She may not even be aware of exactly how intrusive she's being. It looks like there's a 17-year age gap between her and your dad. She probably thought she'd be okay with not having kids. I'm guessing your dad may have told her he's done having babies. But your little ones, especially your daughter, may have stirred up those feelings, and she's trying to compensate. I still don't think you're in the wrong here, but maybe have an honest talk with her, just you and her, and try to show a little grace. My apologies if you've already done that and she's still being difficult. Ops response. She doesn't have kids, and my dad doesn't want more children. He's always been open about not wanting more kids, and while she's defined herself as child-free before, she's also told me she'd always wondered what having a daughter would be like. My husband and I started setting boundaries because the situation was really bad when my daughter was younger. She'd wake her up from her naps during visits, post pictures of her on social media without our approval, and complain about almost every parenting decision we made because it wasn't how she'd do it. Update 1 week later. Hey everyone, I'm ready to give you an update. I read your comments and came to the following conclusion: as much as Sasha's behavior toward my children angered me and freaked me out, calling her a creep was the wrong reaction. That said, I think it's best for my family to distance itself from Sasha for the time being. At the very least, my previous decision to avoid future trips with her based on the Disney trip is still the best course of action. Sasha's pushiness, tendency to override my and my husband's parenting, and blatant favoritism toward my daughter were much worse when the kids were younger. After my daughter's birth, she began to focus too much attention on her and almost none on my son. I gave more examples of that in the comments on my original post. That's the reason we set boundaries in the first place. The way she fusses over my daughter also bothers me. When we had the boundary conversation with my father and Sasha, she mentioned that she'd always wondered what having a daughter would be like. She had also defined herself as child-free before, so I was never certain what to make of that. Either way, that reassured my husband and me that we were doing the best for our kids. Those boundaries had never been overstepped. Then we went on the Disney trip, and most of them were completely ignored. Many of you pointed out that she might have gotten carried away, or that Disney is exciting and she wanted to make sure my kids had the best experience, etc. There are two things I'll say to that. The first is that whatever Sasha's reasons were, she still overstepped our boundaries. When we first set those, we told her that doing so would have consequences. Disney or not, I don't see a reason to make an exception. Secondly, she wasn't trying to ensure my kids had the best experience. She was pushing them to fulfill her fantasy of what their Disney trip should look like. She repeatedly ignored my children's wishes in favor of her own, despite them both being very clear about what they wanted and didn't want. Sasha also continually favored my daughter, even during my son's birthday, and fussed over her in ways that made her uncomfortable. I still haven't forgiven the Little Mermaid incident. My daughter is a bit shy and takes a while to open up to most people, so knowing her trust was broken like that angers me in ways I can't describe. To put it simply, my children aren't props. And whoever treats them as such will, at the very least, be put in timeout. I called my father and Sasha on Saturday. I apologized for calling Sasha a creep but told them that we needed some time apart. They won't see my family until my younger sister's birthday in late April. If that goes well, they'll be invited to my daughter's 5th birthday party in May. After that, we'll slowly work on re-establishing contact. I also said that if they overstepped our boundaries again, the consequences would be more serious. My father didn't take it well. I don't care. Sasha sent me a text with more apologies, followed by a request to at least FaceTime my kids every now and then. I said no. And to those who said my controlling behavior ruined the trip, my kids had an amazing time at Disney World. They're both still talking about it. My daughter keeps asking us to put up her pictures with the characters she met, and my son says he had the best birthday ever. I think that's it. Thank you for your advice and support on my first post. Second update 2 months later. Last time I posted here, I mentioned that my father and Sasha wouldn't see my children until my younger sister's birthday. The party took place last weekend, and we didn't attend. These 2 months of no contact worked fine, but not great. My father respected my wishes, to my surprise, but Sasha kept trying to find ways to talk to my children. She'd call me under the guise of needing to ask me something, only to later say, by the way, are the kids around? I want to say hi. Every time she tried that, I'd remind her of what I'd told her back in March. This must have happened almost a dozen times, which was enough for my husband and me to start debating whether to skip the party. After speaking to our kids, we decided not to go. They both said they missed my father but clearly didn't want to see Sasha. We thought about attending and just keeping them distanced from her, but risking their discomfort wasn't worth it. My son even asked if we could see their aunt somewhere else, without Sasha around. My husband and I explained the situation to my sister. She was upset, but mostly because she hadn't seen the kids in a while. We all went to dinner at her favorite restaurant the day after her party. I also called my father and told him we wouldn't be attending the birthday party. He reacted better than I expected, but we still had a short fight about it. He claimed I had promised to let Sasha see the kids after 2 months, called me unfair, and said he was entitled to have a relationship with his grandchildren, which I immediately denied. Though I tried to sugarcoat it at first, I eventually told him the truth: my kids don't want to see his wife, and I won't force them to. My father and I had a long talk. I told him how much Sasha's actions during the Disney trip upset my children, as well as how uncomfortable my husband and I felt. I admitted that I don't trust his wife at all, and I don't think I ever truly will. He said that while he still thought I was overreacting, he understood that I wanted to protect my kids. My dad also shared how these 2 months of no contact were for them. Apparently, Sasha started talking about my kids, mostly my daughter, a lot more than usual. She'd mention things and places she thought they would like. My father was aware of one of the times she called me but thought it was a one-time thing. She also wanted to give my daughter a gift at my sister's birthday party. He said he didn't know why. At one point, she told him she wanted to plan another family vacation with the kids, even though I had already told them they're not traveling with Sasha anymore. Learning all of that only made me more certain that I can't trust her around my children. For now, I intend to remain low contact with my father and no contact with Sasha. My daughter told me she wanted her grandpa at her birthday party a few weeks from now, so I told him he was invited, but Sasha wasn't. He agreed. To be honest, I don't trust my father after all of this. I'm allowing him to come because the party will take place at my home, which makes it easier for me to control the situation. If he tries to bring Sasha, they'll both be kicked out, and it will take a long time before I consider letting him near my kids again. My father hasn't told me how his wife is reacting to this. My sister mentioned that during her party, Sasha asked her to tell me she wanted to talk. I'm not reaching out to her, nor do I plan to respond if she tries to contact me. Both my husband and I have blocked her. My children are doing great. They still talk about how much fun they had at Disney. My daughter has been saving money, putting coins in her piggy bank, for us to go back. On a completely different note, I'm pregnant again. This was completely unplanned. I always said I wanted 2 kids at most, and a third would have to be a huge accident, but my husband and I are ecstatic. I'm still in the first trimester, so not many people know yet. We're brainstorming ways to tell our kids. Overall, I'm happy with my life right now. And as much as I wish this Sasha situation had never happened, I feel like a better parent after dealing with it. I've never been more confident in my ability to protect my children than I am now. I don't think I'll update again anytime soon. Once again, thank you for all the support you've given me. I wish you the best. Third update 4 months later. First of all, my father didn't bring Sasha to my daughter's birthday party back in May. I didn't really think he would. I made it very clear I wouldn't tolerate that, but I'd be lying if I said your comments didn't make me a little paranoid. Secondly, I've just entered my 3rd trimester, and the baby will be here in November. The kids are ecstatic. I'm having another girl, but my husband and I are not sharing the gender until she's born. This has nothing to do with our families, it's just something we've also done with our first 2. Everyone, including Sasha, knows I'm pregnant. We announced it a couple of months ago. I had no problem with my father telling her, though he did ask if he could. I didn't hear much about her reaction, but according to my father, she was happy for me. My children still don't want to see Sasha, and I'm still not forcing them to. I've unblocked her and put her on mute instead, but she hasn't made any attempts to contact me. We've continued meeting my father without his wife, and I think it's been working out. My relationship with him isn't fantastic, but it's much better than it was earlier this year. Last week, I saw Sasha for the first time in months. My cousin threw a party at her place. My husband and I attended, as did my father and Sasha. I knew she'd be there, but since the kids weren't with us, my son had a sleepover and my daughter stayed with my mom, I didn't really have anything against seeing her. They arrived some time after we did. My husband and I spoke with them for a few minutes, and it was less awkward than I expected. Sasha asked me about the baby's gender, and I told her we weren't telling anyone, which, again, is what we've always done. About 20 minutes later, my father told me they had to go. I thought it was weird that they were leaving so soon, but I didn't think much of it at the time. He called me a few days ago, and we spoke for a long time. My father is difficult to talk to, so the following is what I gathered from the conversation. He said they left early because Sasha was holding back tears after seeing me, and she was sobbing by the time they got to the car. They later had a discussion, and Sasha admitted she wanted kids. She married my dad knowing he didn't, but hoped he would change his mind. Apparently, when my son was born, Sasha tried to drop "I want one" hints to my father, but he didn't pick up on them, so she eventually gave up. According to my father, Sasha told him she loved my kids equally, but my daughter was special because she had always imagined herself as a girl mom. That's also why she became such a suffocating presence when my daughter was a baby. When my husband and I started setting boundaries, Sasha realized she was overstepping and agreed to follow them. To her credit, I think she did a mostly okay job back then, but the favoritism was still obvious enough that my son noticed it. The trip we took was a turning point because Sasha's dream of having a daughter included taking her to Disney World and having her do all the things she enjoyed there when she was young. She told my father that having my daughter there was so exciting that she forgot everything I'd said about not overstepping. Sasha wanted a mother-daughter trip and tried to use my child for it. Sasha said she regretted her actions during the Disney trip, but only because she lost access to my children because of them. Seeing me at the party, all pregnant and pretty, my father's words, though I'm not sure she actually said that, was what drove her over the edge. I remember reading some comments theorizing that this was what was going on, but I still didn't really expect it. My father said he was telling me all this because his wife wasn't doing well, and he'd understand if I wanted to keep my kids away from her. I didn't expect that, either. I don't know what the future of their relationship will be, and I don't think my father does, either. All I know is that if Sasha still wants to have kids, it almost definitely will not be with my father. Before all this, I was pondering my third child's future in relation to Sasha. Now, I sincerely don't want her to be a part of my baby's life. This isn't a final decision, but I've been speaking with my husband about it, and he agrees with me. I don't think she's a bad person. I got some baby stealer comments on my previous update, but I don't think that's what's happening here, either. However, if the Disney trip proved anything, it's that Sasha is willing to be extremely selfish and disrespectful to get what she wants, even when my kids are involved. A couple of months ago, my husband and I had a conversation with our son about this. He told us he dislikes Sasha for 2 reasons: she favors his sister, and she doesn't listen to them. Honestly, that's all I need to know. Looking back at my own childhood, I feel like I was never allowed to have boundaries. I was always expected to put my schedules and preferences aside for others. It's important to me that my children don't go through that. If they don't want to see Sasha, they don't have to. I think that's all I want to say here. I'm doing well. I actually got some great news from work recently. My kids are thriving, and I'm excited to meet my 3rd baby. Again, thank you all.